Greetings. The purpose of this screencast is to give a quick tour of Google Slides basics. So I'm on my personal My Drive, and there's a couple different ways that I can access Google Slides. I can actually type it up in the Omnibox or search bar. I can come over here and land on my app from the waffle, or I can click New and go to Google Slides right here. That's how I'm going to enter my Google Slide presentation. And Google Slides are very similar to Microsoft PowerPoint or Apple Keynote. So it's a presentation software. So we are automatically given one slide, and we open over here to this column where we're supposed to select our theme or design for the slides that we're going to use. And it usually defaults to this very simple generic one, but we can scroll through and we can see all of our other different design choices. And as we click on them, we see that the background changes, the location of the text box, the font, all of that becomes pre-populated for us, and that will be our basic design feature. If we want to be in charge of our own design, we're going to click the first one, and it's very simple. We're going to click off of themes because this is the good one for us, and we notice that we are given two text boxes right away. And our first text box is a slightly larger font, and we can certainly type here, and this was Arial 52 right up there. And if I click on my other text box, I see that it's actually Arial 28. So that's what they give us to start as our initial design and layout. If we don't like that, if we're like, oh, I don't want a text box there, we click on it so that it's blue around the edge, and then we can just hit the delete button and that whole text box will go away. We can always add another text box by clicking on this little T right here. We'll notice that my cursor changed from an arrow to a plus sign, and I just set it on the page, and I can go ahead and add a new text box, and I can then highlight the words inside, and I can change their font size. I can change the style of font, and I can make it bold. I can also move that text box around. Now, sometimes we want to have a big title, and we can definitely follow that same process of highlighting our text and pumping up the font size to get the size that we want. And a quick way to do that is this little plus right over here. There's a better way. So I'm on my slide, and I'm going to come over to Insert. I'm going to go through all my normal options that I'm familiar with and land on what's called Wordart. And Google Slides is the only place where we have Wordart. I'm going to click on that. I get a very special looking box. I'm going to just title it or call it Wordart for right now. And then I'm going to hit the word Enter on my keyboard or Return. And I have a different looking text box. I'm going to just push it up here so we can see it a little bit better. My words filled the text box edge to edge. And now I don't have to change the font size. And if we notice up here, there is no size for the font. I can change the font style, but there's nothing for font size. That's because all I do is I grab an edge of my text box and I push it up or I stretch it out, and the text size automatically adjusts to perfectly fill my Wordart text box. So that's a great design option for us. When that's highlighted, we can absolutely go in and use the paint bucket to change the color, etc. But Wordart is a great feature for design and layout. Let's go back and review some of the basics of our design and layout options. We have all of our familiar file menus, our edit menus. Our view menu will look a little bit different, and I'm going to come back to that after we've got a few more slides made. We already looked at the insert and Wordart, but I can add things like diagrams and different types of lines, and I can even sort of hand draw something. What else can I insert? I can insert animation links, and I can insert slide numbers. I can insert a new slide. I can also format things within my slide or within a text box. And we have a brand new option in Google Slides, and that's the slide drop-down menu. And this is another way we can add a new slide. If I'm on one slide and I want to have a duplicate of it, there's a quick way to do that. I can also delete slides, move them around, and I can change the background. So right now my background is that white color, and we saw in some of the themes that we had some different background choices. And if I land on change background, I'll get a mini dialog box, and I can change the color. We saw how that's going to that green. I could even select an image to put in my background. And so maybe I just want an image of a cat, and I can select that cat, and the cat will go in the background of my slide, and it won't be movable. It will fill the slide and just be the background. I can also reset to the theme or add a theme, so I can design my own style. I'm going to go ahead and hit done. The difference in what I did is that I just changed it for one slide versus when we have that theme menu that was over here, that would have applied to all slides, like if I wanted a cat on all slides. Okay, so that was the slide menu. And we notice we can change the theme right here as well. I can, once we're a little bit further along, I can change the order of things. I have some of my familiar tools that I've seen in Google Docs as well, add-ons, and then of course my help button. Underneath our drop-down menu, we have some of our quick links to some similar formatting and design items. So I can have a text box, I can insert an image kind of quickly or a shape. These are my lines. I can use the Explore button. I have instant access to the background. The Layout tab is maybe what we want our slide text boxes to look like. I have theme, and then we're going to talk about transition because that's what the kids really love. So we've got my little slide right here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to insert an image, and I can do that from my computer. I can search the web, I can go to my drive. I'll just go search the web again, and this time I'll get an image of a dog. So here we go, and I'm going to click on it, and I can hit the insert button right down here, and that dog picture will come right to my slide. I could have also copied and pasted from someplace else, and I can resize it, I can move it around, much like I can my text boxes. And I'll point out that whether we're on a picture or a text box, the squares are what allow us to move things, like the sides, up and down, side to side. If we go to the corner, it moves the whole box. And this circle at the top is what allows us to spin an image. And then we can drag and put it any place we want on the slide. The fun part of Google Slides is what we call the transitions. We're going to click on slide and we're going to say transition, and we'll get a whole nother dialog box over here. And there's slide transitions, and that means how the slide moves from slide 1 to slide 2. Right now I don't have any. It would be as the teacher clicks it. But I can click on that and open it, and I can have a dissolve, a fade. So we'll pick dissolve. And I can decide how fast it's going to go as well, and I'll apply that to all of the slides. And we can see over here that I've got transitions, that little set of 3 circles. Then we have what are called object animations, and those are objects or text boxes and images from within a specific slide. So in this slide, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different objects that I can choose to animate. So I click on one and I get my blue border, and I'm going to say add animation. And I have quite a few choices. I can fade in, I can fly in from the left, I can do it on click, meaning my mouse or my keyboard, or I can do it after. I can sort of set a timer with it. I personally like the on click one. So I can see that that looks like that picture of the dog, and it's going to fly in from the left. Let's add another one. I'm going to add animation. Oops, that's that same picture. I don't want to animate it twice. So I'm going to trash that one. And now I'm going to go blue border, click on Wordart, and then add animation. And we can see maybe that it's not the dog anymore. It's the orange Wordart letters, and it's fly in on click. So again, we have to select our object, then do add animation. Otherwise, it just goes to the last object we were on. So what does this end up looking like? So I'm going to switch over here to present mode. So now we don't have all of those objects on my slide. We only see 2 of them. And I'm going to hit my mouse button, and there comes the dog. There's Wordart, and there's my squiggle. And now we're going to go to my second slide, and that was that fade in or dissolve. And there we go to my third slide. So that's what slide transition and object animation does. It's how one slide moves to the other and how the items on a slide appear. We talked about how to design and make a slide. Let's talk about presenting and sharing and commenting. So in my slide, I want to draw our attention down to the bottom here where it says click to add speaker notes. The slide is the visual, the art, the pictures, and down here I can use my speaker notes 2 different ways. This might be the script or talking points of what I want to speak out loud as I'm presenting. It's my notes, but it's also a place if I'm collaborating with someone else, we can use the speaker notes to sort of have a record of our conversation or our ideas. And it doesn't look like there's a lot of space, but I hope you can see there's 3 little dots right here. And as I hover over them, my cursor changes to a hand. I'm going to push down and push up, and my proportions change. My slide just got a lot smaller, and my speaker notes just got a whole lot bigger. So if I want to have more notes down here, I can certainly change the proportion, and then I can bring it back if I'm working on my design and layout. The next thing I'm going to point out is over here we have what's called the present mode, and I went into that a minute ago. And when you're in full present mode, the slide takes up the whole computer screen. And we can also do something called presenter view. Some teachers use this where the slide doesn't take up the entire screen. The next thing I'm going to point out is that we can add comments here. We can absolutely write notes in our speaker notes, but we can click our little dialog box, we can add a comment, and we will get our margin comment attached to the slide. And the very last thing I'm going to point out in this video is that much like with any other Google app, we can share. We want to make sure that we name it, and we'll say that, and then we can do our sharing setting.